Alright guys, welcome to episode 25 of Let's Talk Battlefield. I'm your host, Economits, and let me just drop down some of this audio from the background music you were listening to. And welcome you guys to another episode of Let's Talk Battlefield, right? We're calling this one Post-Apocalypse. With me today is the regular crew. Gentlemen, say hello to the stream. Flak. They're like, yo, who goes first? See, wait, Flak, we do have an issue. Why would there not be an issue? We can't hear the chat for some reason, even though I have the headphones selected.
Uh-oh.
How about now, Flak?
Am I
We're good to
audible?
go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, your boy Flakfire.
All right. Hey everyone, it's Flakfire. Love all things Battlefield, especially Battlefield Hardline. Don't ask me why. But you can check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Flakfire Gaming. And you can also find me on Twitch here, increasingly at twitch.tv/Flakfire.
And of course, we also have Mambo B.
Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm one of the co-hosts, Mambo B. Glad you're tuning in.
Oh, awesome. And we have a great episode for you guys. That was the intro. Let me give you the rundown how this podcast works. Number one, this is a community-driven podcast. If you're watching it live, you're enjoying people in the chat, everybody's opinion in there. If you're watching the recording on Flakfire's channel, or maybe you're on iTunes, welcome. We encourage you guys to get interactive with the podcast. There are a couple of ways. If you're watching on YouTube, you can comment away, and we do read those comments. We try our best to answer them, and we have been selecting comments to feature in these episodes. So you never know. You come up with a crazy idea, you write it down, it might get read out here, and hopefully DICE or EA somehow gets a word of it as well. The other way to get connected with us is via email. The Let's Talk Podcast at gmail.com is our address, and we do listeners' emails before we do live questions at the end of the podcast. All right. What else? I think I'm gonna give you guys the rundown of what are the 3 topics we chose. Each of us personally decided to bring to the table. And we will kind of move on from there. So the first topic is going to be by me, and I decided that we want to talk about how can DICE better communicate with the player base with major issues occurring. The next one we had, Flak decided to talk about what is your favorite DLC. And Mambo's topic of today will be, do you think the leaks about upcoming BF are real or fake news? Or is DICE just messing with us? So we have awesome topics for you guys. We're gonna jump right into the first one right now with my topic. And the reason I chose to talk about this is Apocalypse, the final DLC, is out, and it had some major issues. Being a live streamer, I've talked to a lot of people, and people come to my stream all the time, and I feel a lot of people are just, jamming words out, like yelling and screaming, and just like, oh, DICE fix this. But it got me thinking, what has DICE done? And what can DICE do better in this conversation? So, fellas, I mean, why don't we go around and see what your opinion is of just right now, did DICE address the issue adequately?
Well, I think if you went to the live stream the day that they launched the Apocalypse DLC, they announced it right away. Andrew Galata, I think, was the one when I tuned in. He was saying, hey, we're aware that we have an issue with the DLC not running smoothly on the PlayStation 4 and some of the other platforms. So bear with us. And, they kind of addressed it there. But I think maybe if they would do something on a day-to-day basis, maybe even progress report, just state of the game, something every day on a tweet, because not everybody reads Reddit. So I think something that's a little bit more in line, maybe Facebook and Twitter, would have probably been, in my opinion, something they should have did every day. I don't know. What do you think, Flak?
Yeah, Flak.
I think. Well, sorry about the buzzer there in the background. First of all, but I think that dice and it's not really just a dice problem. I think most companies need to do a better job of communicating to their player base. And I'm not just talking about, in times of, oh, there's a problem, we need to talk about that and tell everybody what's going on. They need to have a more coherent plan to interact with their player base on a daily basis, because it's something that could be done a little bit better. I can't tell you how often I find out about things going on in Battlefield or some other game from someone in the community, not from the actual official channels of the game. So I mean, that's something that needs to be looked at. But in terms of the issues with Apocalypse, particularly that lag issue, I think they did probably everything that they really could do. I mean, they were in damage control mode. You got a lot of people having issues with the game. On top of that, you've got people trying to figure out, why those issues are occurring, and they have to come up with a definitive answer of yes or no. Is this what the problem is? And then how do we fix it? So,
Right.
I mean, there's inevitably going to be hours where nobody knows the answer to that, and you're going to have people who are really, really annoyed by the issues that they were running into. So, of course, Apocalypse had that lag issue. Whenever
Right.
you would kill somebody, and apparently it was something to do with the game pinging the challenges there.
It was
check it.
tracking way too many things at once. See,
Yeah.
now like just listening to you guys, like the thing is the reason I really want to talk about this topic is because what I saw as their approach to this was like a lot of people were upset that, or there was a lot of I don't know, and like Mambo said, I watched that live stream, for instance, and people were just joining in and just, oh man, broken game, when you gonna fix it, when you gonna fix it, right? Well, they were trying to showcase the features that were coming out. Now, because of that lack of, I mean, I didn't see a tweet at all almost from the official Battlefield channel.
Yeah, and I mean that's something that should be looked at. Of course, I would sit here and say, why wasn't this better tested? In terms of the DLC. So I'm going to be a little bit critical on that, but it's like literally 2 weeks before that we got the last chunk of Turning Tides.
Yeah, but you know what though? Like the reality is like I'm not a game developer and I don't know these things, but I imagine that there's always something gonna be broken somewhere. I just feel like as a community, I know we can come together and like give them better ways of how to communicate to us. Like for instance, what's the way you want to be communicated by? Like what do you tune into Battlefield wise, and what do you think is gonna be the way you want to be communicated to? For instance, I play the game, but like Mambo said, not everybody tunes into Reddit or maybe Twitter or maybe even to that live stream. There were a lot of people in that live stream, but not everyone tuned in. I really think that why didn't they use splash screens already? Why didn't they have like an emergency splash screen that says, hey guys, I know some of you guys having this issue. It's being addressed. If you want to find out more information, look at this link. And then like host it somewhere or follow us on Twitter, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And getting
that
that
idea
conversation
of the splash screen would have been great.
Yeah,
because you still run into the issue of like people skip through it and don't read it. But at least if it's there, it's going to be a lot more effective than putting it on social media channels, at least in general, because not everybody who plays your game is going to follow you on social media. Like there's no guarantee to put it in front of somebody's face. If you have it where it shows up as soon as you log in, and have it be persistent, just reminding people, hey, this issue is happening. We're aware of it. We're doing everything we can. That's the stuff that the players who are experiencing problems want to hear. They want to know we're aware of this issue and here's what we're doing to fix it. And then here's how we're going to reward you for having to put up with that crap. right?
Well, I think it was a nice thing you mentioned reward, because I think they gave us a battle pack and they gave us scraps, which is not bad. I mean, I know it took away like 4 days where I wasn't really actively playing because it affected me a lot because I had the specializations unlocked. I still love playing Battlefield. You know, I played once because I needed to get the medals. But as far as communication goes, like, do you guys remember Battlefield 4? I think they had like a little thing on top that would say if there was an issue. You know how it says Premium Trials is now active? Or the other thing that's Friends, Premium Friends or something? Like over there, if they had like a little message like, we know some of you are having issues, stay tuned on our Twitter page for more info or something like that. Like this is the kind of communication I think DICE should look forward, or will look into moving forward. You know, you have to have the communication in your game. Your channels, your Twitter channel, Twitter's supposed to be fast, you know? Like if something's going on with your game, your Twitter is like the first thing I check, for instance. I mean, like, what do you guys check first? Like if something's wrong?
Yeah, there's so many social links out there. If they put on the main menu of the game, go to this specific source, funnel everybody to this source, and then that way people know, okay, let me go check that first. Twitter is what I use, and there's other games out there that do a great job of keeping their community involved on a daily basis, not just a once a week basis. I'm talking daily. And I think that's something for the next Battlefield. The community managers are getting stuck in a tough position. Dan Mitri, he's got to look at this and say, okay, what can we do to better our job? Like you always try to improve in your game when you play, right? So what did I do and what did I learn? What I did wrong? Well, they could do the same thing. What did we learn wrong from the past Battlefields? We got to have a better launch. Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, kind of
Battlefield 4's launch,
right? Can't have a bad launch if you want your game to succeed against other games.
Yeah. But you know what? That launch they fixed. I mean, Hardline had a great launch. Battlefield 1 had a great launch.
Right. They're getting better. So, okay, what's next do we need to improve?
We need a communication. Yeah.
Step up.
I know. I'm one of the people who, like, I understand from a business standpoint why they don't want to draw attention to issues, you know, because not everybody experienced the lagging from the tracking bug, right? I was fortunate. I didn't experience that on PC or Xbox. So I was really lucky. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I never do challenges.
That's why
in Battlefield. But you know, it's not something I had to deal with. So you know, had I not been apprised of the situation with the tracking bug, I probably would have never known. You know, and I wouldn't have had anything negative to say about the game in that regard. But it's something. It's like I 100% think if there's an issue with something, you know, be open, honest, draw attention to it. You know, it might not be the greatest thing to say, hey, you know, we made a mistake, but it's much better to say, hey, we made a mistake, we're fixing it, you know, owning up to it, saying, you know, this is something that's going to be resolved, we will take care of it, we care about you. You know, it's good from a PR standpoint to do that.
I think so too. I mean, when I see a community, when a Battlefield or just a video game speaking directly to a community, keeping them informed about what's the future, what's happening currently in the game, I value that a lot. I mean, as a gamer, as an avid gamer, I play the game very frequently. Just having that communication is really important to me, especially when things are going down. The one thing I will say is if I noticed a few things that I would maybe do differently, even for instance in their live stream. Maybe I'm like a seasoned live streamer, so I know these things, you know. But when that issue was in Apocalypse and they had their Apocalypse live stream, I think it was like 40 minutes in where Jeff Braddock said literally like, yo guys, let's stop. Let's address the elephant in the room. We know what's going on. You know, we're having issues, but they gave a solution and they talked about it for like 5 minutes. And I understand the podcast, that podcast or their live stream wasn't meant to address issues. It was meant to show you what's new, keep you informed, which I think is great, you know, that they're doing live streams, that they're doing these things. But to wait 40 minutes to address an issue that you know people already in the beginning were already complaining about, like they're just typing in there constantly. That to me is like, whoa. I mean, you should be addressing that. Like
right, maybe it should have been. 10. You know how we put overlays on OBS and whatnot?
Yeah.
Their tech guy, their lead tech that coordinates their live stream should have put a little flashing item up on the corner of the live stream.
Dude, that's a brilliant idea.
Something that let people know so they'll stop spamming it in the chat. Issue found, solution being addressed.
Yeah, because
something flashing in the screen, just something like that simple. So it would have made people say, oh, stop spamming for the first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you realize your game is broke?
Yeah. Dude, and that's another key. The key thing is, and I'm glad you came up with that idea, because, you know, this is why we sit here and we talk, because I've noticed that even when they address the issue and they talk and everybody in the chat was like, okay, makes sense, you know? Like a half hour later, new people joined the Twitch stream anyway, and they're just like, fix your game. And then it got to the point where I literally saw the moderators be like, stop spamming, and then it would time those people out. You know, rather than the moderator trying to tell the guy like, look, this was addressed, and like copy and paste a message, this was already addressed, stay tuned for more info somewhere here and here, and a link, you know? They literally were timing people out from their own chat, and I was like, come on. The opportunity there is, I know people get crazy on the internet. I know people get very loud and like, oh, I mean, I'm gonna yell down my, you know.
You could easily do a repeating command that repeats every 2-3 minutes or whatever that says, we know there's a problem, we're working on it.
Yeah.
You know, appreciate your patience, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yo, I like those ideas. I mean, repeating commands in chat and having a visual, like all, like on the bottom of your like side scrolling, scroll bar, text, whatever. Having just a visual where people are tuning in right away, they're seeing it right away is great when you're making a live stream. Those are great.
Right, because then they could have focused on the things that they're releasing and the perks and the new improvements of the game that's coming out, rather than focusing on, oh, we realize we got a problem. You don't want to have to talk about that. You want to talk about
there's other things there that could be done. You know, when you look at it from a point of communication, I think EA DICE in general is probably going to look at these events here in retrospect and say, you know, how do we speed up this process between, you know, actually finding out about an issue and then commenting on it, because not only did they have that, they also had this issue a couple days ago where apparently some construction crew like cut into the fiber cables and like downed all of EA's servers in the US.
Is that basically what happened? Because I didn't know.
Yeah, that's what I had read from some of the people who were involved with EA help stuff, that it was an issue related to that.
How did you find out? See, that's another thing that wasn't communicated. EA went down, and it was like entire EA. It wasn't even just Battlefield, whatever. But I looked at their Twitter, no mention. I don't know. That's the first thing I checked. Like, man, something's happening on
Twitter. The EA help Twitter made a tweet, and then Battlefield later retweeted it. But it's something. It's like it took too long, in my opinion, for that to happen. Because the first thing that happens, I try and log on. It says can't connect to EA servers. I'm like, well, are the servers down? And then I try to go to places to find out if the servers are down. Look on Reddit, find out if anybody else is having the same issue. Look on the Battlefield Twitter, expecting to find something that says, hey, we're experiencing server issues. Some kind of ETA for maybe when that'll get back up, or, you know, in confirmation that they're doing something to resolve it, that kind of stuff. But it took several hours for EA to make a comment on something like that.
Right. ETAs are not like necessary, in my opinion, because it's like so hard to judge an ETA, and the worst thing you can do is put in 2-hour ETA, guys, and 2 hours come by, and you'll see those people in the chat and the command, and they'll just be like, oh, 2 hours went by, what's happening? You know, it's so hard to predict these things.
4 hours, and when it only takes 2 hours, they're like, oh, these people are so competent. They got this done in 2 hours instead of 4, you know?
All right. You know what? That's a good tactic. But imagine the worst case scenario when it doesn't happen then. And it's like, oh, you guys said 4 hours. You know, that's a bad feeling. So ETA, to me, all right, I don't need to hear an ETA, but I definitely need to see a tweet. You know what I mean? I definitely need to see, like, if it's something that's going to affect your game and you're expecting multiple days, there has to be a splash screen in your game. You know what I mean? There has to be a post on it on your blog if you have a game blog. It's 2018, you know? I mean, can we come up with any other ideas before we move on to the next topic? I think we came up with some
I
good
would
stuff.
just like to see stuff done consistently and across all of their social media platforms, you know. And just the other day, and this is a good example to point out, Braddock, Jeff posted a post on Reddit that said, you know, hey, we're going to give you you know, a battle pack and some scrap, I think is what he put on there. You know, but he actually put that on the Reddit, so he made an appearance over there, which is good. That's something you want to do. You know, and with the relationship that they have with the Reddit mods, you know, the mod was able to pin that to the top of the Reddit page, so it was right there for anybody who happened to go on the Reddit page. So like more of that, and just be consistent across all platforms. You know, and I know it's not easy because I try and do that all the time. Like if I put out something, I have to post it on Facebook, Twitter, you know, YouTube, Discord now, you know, like all these other things, and try and keep the message clear and consistent across all platforms and have it posted at the same time. Like it's not easy. There are programs out there that enable you to post things simultaneously across multiple sites, but it's something that, you know, I think everybody could do it better, and hopefully DICE and EA are looking for ways to facilitate that and have it work a bit more smoothly in the future.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts, Mambo?
No, I think we pretty much discussed everything we've been talking about. Just consistency, you know, certain channels, not just one channel, like Flak mentioned.
Yeah.
On a day-to-day basis, not just necessarily when things are bad. Just do it on a day-to-day basis. Like, do you guys know that this is coming? Did you do today's poll? Did you know? Just a daily interaction from the community managers, I think, will keep your community more engaged throughout the life of your game.
Right. A lot of people talk about video gaming as a service nowadays, rather than video gaming as here's a game and then, you know, DLCs maybe, whatever. I think in 2018, like, we live in a whole different age of what gaming is now, and having that daily interaction is key. But having things built into your game, 100%, because people don't tune into your Twitter or Reddit or any of that, is key to me. So if I was like DICE and I'm developing Battlefield 5 or whatever they're calling it, V, I heard, we're gonna get to that. I would make sure that there is some sort of a easy I don't know, software plugin that you can give your community managers where they can just go without any hard thing. Like, I mean, I imagine if right now, in order for Jeff to put something in the video game itself, like a quick message or whatever, he has to go talk to a game developer and then make sure that that's tech. That's too much, man. They need to build a system where Jeff literally could sign into his private computer and nothing else, and he could just type in a few words and boom, it's there. He doesn't have to talk to a game dev. If they're not working on a system like that, it
should be as easy for him to do as he does make a post on the forums.
Yeah,
right.
It should be like that, that easy and built into the game. That's something I would really put value in, because I put value in knowing, even though the ETA is not that important, but you know, would be cool. But knowing that you're aware, the company is aware, and that you're telling me that, hey guys, I know we're looking at it. That already tells me like, okay, cool. You know, I'm more of a patient consumer. But when it's completely dead silent and something's going on, like, it's all mass chaos, and you can't have that, you know? So that was my take on there. It was an awesome discussion, guys. I think we're gonna move on to our second segment. Our second segment is by Flak. So Flak, take it away.
All right, so for the second segment, I thought it'd be fun, you know, since we've got all of the DLCs out there in the wild now. You know, the Apocalypse officially released on March 6th for people who did not have Premium or Revolution. So, you know, it's possible for everybody to get it and weigh in on this here. But I did a video the other day kind of ranking all the DLC from worst to best. And I'm curious how you guys would rank that, and everybody in the chat as well. If you want to put it in order from you know, best to worst, or from worst to best, however you want to do it, but make sure you tell me which one it is. But Echo, what's your ranking system look like here for the DLC?
All right, I watched your YouTube video, Flak, and I think I typed in agreed, you know? I was just like, you know what? I agree. I think the best DLC was probably the French DLC, just because of, you know, you had a behemoth, you had an elite soldier, you had new guns, and they were okay. I don't use them very often, the newest weapons, but there was some decent variety. You even got a DLC shotgun, which we only got one more of later, but that was cool. And the maps are pretty solid, and you had 2 operations. There's very little that you can complain about the French DLC.
You also got front lines too, which I didn't mention in the video. Front lines.
You know, we've talked about it on the podcast. We were just like, you know, sometimes adding game modes is a little bit, I don't know if you should, right? But we actually got a good game mode people simply still enjoy. Like today I watched Fizzer stream, and he was playing Frontlines. I'm like, yeah, people still enjoy this game mode. It's good, you know? Oh, and not to mention, like even you said in your YouTube channel, Flag, you were like, we got the surprise of the 2 night maps, and people love night maps for some reason. I think Priestess to Her is the best designed map in the game. I like Priestess to Her.
I really, really like that map.
Design-wise, the pathways, the intricacies of it, the way the buildings are, which ones you can enter, which ones you can't, it is extremely well designed. Whoever did that level design, awesome. Now, fact that it's dark and people just turn up the gamma, look, that aside, whatever, you know? But I don't know. I mean, feature-wise, that to me is probably number 1. If I was gonna pick the next one, I think I would go. I think I would go Russian DLC second. To me, it's important because it had 2 operations, and I love operations. Even though the Russian DLC operations, man, it's a pain.
It brings back some you got PTSD from Russian operations in that DLC.
I have, you know what? It got to the point where right now there was a operations campaign with the Russian DLC ones, and I was just like, nah, I've not done it. Nah, not going back there in those trenches. And they quote unquote fixed it. Remember, they made changes in this last thing. But I've played the changes, and I'm like, I don't know if I necessarily agree that these are better changes. Do you get? That's a whole separate feel on that, and I don't know if we want to get into that, but I would put that one next because the maps are okay. I would say I enjoy a few maps. There's some problems with each, but the content, I mean, you can't deny that the content was great because you had so many guns. It was ridiculous. We even got a brand new vehicle. Oh, by the way, the French DLC, I love the Saint-Chamond. It's probably my favorite tank, you know, so that's another plus to the French. I mean, the new bomber was kind of crappy, and then later now it's so buffed. That's just.
I think Jack Frags did a video recently where it's like tired at once with the bomber, and he actually he was actually able to do it now since it had those changes in the most recent update.
I just watched that while like sitting in the car waiting for something else. But yeah, I saw that 32 kills. It was funny. So I put that one as my next. Turning Tides is probably third for me. Once again, because it has just one operation. I felt like the guns were really good in Turning Tides. I don't like how they changed some of them though. You know, especially the pistol. I felt like the pistol, the way it was better than now, the way it is now. But I love Achibaba. I think it's a great map. And, you know, Heligoland Bite, I don't touch it much. But it's okay. And Z-Burger is okay too. And Apocalypse, man, it's a little bit of a weak DLC. I was underwhelmed. So that's mine.
Especially somebody who loves operations, like you got nothing.
I got nothing, man. I got a couple of crappy weapons out of it, and an awesome melee. I love the bottle. I just like to get into those things and find somebody to spank with a bottle. But not enough from me, man. Mambo, I want to hear your thoughts too.
Yeah, well, I've always said that the French maps were designed great at the time, and then the guns and the horse. You know, I'm a cavalry guy. The whole lance of the Russian DLC just took me like, wow. this is only in a Battlefield moment. There's no other games that allow you to lance somebody and carry them across the map, throw them off. I was throwing people off mountaintops at Lansing and those snipers that were camping up there. It was a great feeling, you know. They had my 40-man operations back in the French DLC, which I loved. We had some great memories on the French DLC with 40-man operations. They should have left it in there, in my opinion. But hey, the game progressed. The maps from French, I think that overall the French DLC was the best. You got 6 maps, right? You got 2 night maps. You got 4 base maps. They were really pushing, you know, the content on the second DLC. So I think that's why second DLC takes a storm. But the Guns of the Russian Tsar map, in the name of the Tsar, I mean, amazing. I like that. But yeah, there's 1 or 2 maps in the final DLCs that were great. Achibaba and this one that's a real mud slop fest in an Apocalypse. I forget.
Passchendaele.
Passchendaele.
Yeah, Passchendaele. Those are what you envision of, oh man, this is hell on earth. This is what my envision of, you know, dark, gloomy, green puddles everywhere. It's awesome. But yeah, the French DLC, in my opinion, that's, I think, the way to go. I mean, I don't know if you want to open up a stream poll for the chat right now, but see what they say. But I think French DLC probably has the memories of Battlefield 1. When you look back at Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, Battlefield Bad Company 2, all the previous Hardline, Flak, you look back at the things that you remember from those games, maybe the gunfights on Passchendaele or Achibaba or, you know, and some of the French maps, those will stick in your mind. Those are the things that carry with you, because these are virtual places and we almost visualize them for years down the road. Like, whoa, I remember that game. I remember Wake Island.
People will remember Fort de Vaux. I think they will.
Yeah. There's a few maps like that. It's something here too that I want to bring up, because, you know, you brought up Hardline a second ago, and I love Hardline. Like, I bought premium for that game.
Blood money.
And I never got to play like 2 of the 4 DLCs because the game was just never populated.
Wow.
Yeah, premium was a letdown for that one.
And it's something that, you know, I appreciate the changes that that Battlefield made with Battlefield 1 in terms of premium. Yeah, it's still there, but, you know, you get premium trials, premium friends. You know, you actually were able to fill up the servers. So it's like, all right, I got the DLC, I can play the DLC. Like, I'm happy at that point, right? And that's what, you know, I think made me really enjoy the life of the game for Battlefield 1 quite a bit more than I have for some of the other Battlefield games, just because I wasn't really able to play all of the DLC.
Flak, hold on. This is an interesting comment by Triple Struck. It says, Flak, because you got to join the PS4 squad. But that got me thinking. I'm not trying to rep the PS4 squad here. It got me thinking, like, it does depend on what platform you're on. And I know that PC is a little bit more
stronger
severe
on PS4.
Well, a PC has even less player base, especially for something like Hardline. The PC player base dropped that game almost insanely fast. But PS4, I remember even playing it, and I played it recently just for giggles. Because when Battlefield
Hardline last night, actually.
Really? I mean, I was playing Battlefield 1. Well, Battlefield 1 had these issues from Apocalypse. I hopped into Hardline. I platinumed it, by the way. And then I played some online matches, and I was like, dude, it's been years, and everyone talks crap about this game, but there are people still playing this thing, you know?
It's a fun game. One of my next videos is going to be 5 reasons why Hardline is better than you remember.
Then you remember good. I wanted to see better than what?
You've got to have a blood money or a steal the gold or something. They could have, you know, taken an element of that game mode and brought it over to Battlefield 1, whether it's steal the gold, take the oil tanker, something tangible to take away from, you know, Hardline. That was an excellent game mode.
Yeah. Going back to the topic there, if I was going to rank the DLCs from best to worst, it would definitely be the French DLC. I would put Turning Tides in second, which is a little bit controversial because it's a smaller one, but I put that one there specifically because I liked the operation that was there, and I liked the map design. Like I really, really liked that DLC for the map design. Like it was small, but I enjoy all the maps from it. I put the Russian DLC third because I play about half the maps from that. There are other ones where I'm like, you're never going to find me on Galicia or Albion because I don't like being shot at by snipers, and that's all those maps are about. And then I put Apocalypse fourth because it just seemed a bit underwhelming to me based on the expectations that DICE had kind of developed with, the first two DLCs.
Right.
I think a lot of people were expecting to go out with a bang with Apocalypse, and it was just kind of like
Mambo.
it
What was
just
your
wasn't
what was
as
your
good as we
fourth?
thought.
It just went down exactly the way they released them. It was better on the first DLC, the French DLC, then each DLC got progressively less interesting. Some of the maps were better, like one map, Achibaba, amazing. One map, Passchendaele, amazing. I like the River Somme map on.
I think the River Somme map is nice.
The whole trench and the weeds fields, that's very nice. But yeah, there's only a couple that stand out, and that's going to be that way in any Battlefield, any game you play. If you got DLC, you're like, oh, this stands out in my mind because of the intensity of the map or the scenarios it puts you in. I like little clusters of intensity. For me, I know Jack Frags mentioned that in the 40-man operations, you can have clusters of intensity that really make it great, and that's why I felt like, some of the maps stand out in my mind in the French DLC, because at that time they had the 40-man operations and we really got those intense little group fights rather than just the entire map is an intense group fight. Like a movie, it should start off slow, climax, resolution. Whereas with some of the operations now, I feel like it's all climax. Can I get my breath, please? That's the only thing that I don't care about the way they went with the operations to just 64. You alienated some people that like the whole climax, intro, climax, resolution. We won the game. They don't have that now in operations. Now it's either they push over you or, okay, game's over, or we smoked them or they smoked us. It's not really that chance to tug and war where, front lines does give you that tug of war a little bit. But I just think the intensity levels need to be not the entire time needs to be intense. I don't know. I like how they released them. 1 through 4. That's my favorite DLCs.
Well, I mean, you know what? I mean, since we're having this discussion, I hope you don't mind, Flak. I want to know from you guys, what could they have done better in Apocalypse then? If clearly it's the worst for all of us.
Easy way to immediately improve Apocalypse and make it a lot more people happy. Instead of 3 maps, I want 4 maps for ground. Like you can have the same thing that you did for Turning Tides, essentially. Give us 4 maps that everybody's gonna want to play, that at least you can play ground combat on, right? And then a couple months after Apocalypse, give us Air Assault and give it to everybody for free.
Or include 1 map from Air Assault in the name of the Tsar DLC and 1 map for Air Assault in the Apocalypse DLC. Something like that. Like these are free maps. Here, bam.
It just really bothers me.
Right.
Like essentially, like I paid for the DLC and I'm only going to play half of it because I'm not going to touch that airplane mode. Like I tried it in the CTE. I didn't really care for it. I didn't think it was focused on team play enough, and it's kind of a niche thing. Like not everybody likes playing in the airplane. Battlefield is at its core, I think, an infantry game. So you kind of look at it, it's not how it actually worked, but it feels that way, and that's why it bothers me, where it's like like taxes in a way. Like I got taxed so they could make this flying DLC that I'm never going to use,
Oh yeah, okay. I see what the feeling you're trying to capture there. I mean, if I was to speak on that personally, I think the only thing that I would really have loved to see from Apocalypse, because I like to make this podcast about trying to identify what we as a community want. Because I think if we are vocal about what we want and DICE gets to ultimately hear us, they're more likely to be like, you know what, that makes sense, and you know, within their own budget system, whatever they can do, they'll probably try to deliver because they ultimately want to deliver to us what we want, right? Whatever is within means. I really felt like I wanted an operation, like at least one, you know. That's me. If I was to say what would have made better Apocalypse for me, would be that. Mamba, what would make better Apocalypse better for you?
Yeah, just what Flak mentioned. One more infantry map, it would have made it better. Even the DLC before, in the map that has most of the naval and the big mountain in the middle, they could have made that have tunnels all through it and let us go up on top of the mountain. That would have made that map like, wow. You know, give us a cave warfare in a top of the mountain to shoot down on the boats and the planes. It would have made it more epic, grand scale.
That's what they did in Battlefield 4's. Remember, they had that submarine inside. That was so cool.
Right.
That was one of my favorite maps.
Assault. Right. Yeah. Same thing they could have done there. Give us some tunnels. Put a hangar inside of there with some sub. They started to do it a little bit on one of the maps. But they could have went further in detail and give us another infantry map. I agree with Flak.
Cool. I just want that was random. I'm sorry I hijacked your topic there, Flak. But I just was like, we all of us, and I don't know your thoughts in the chat, guys. Like, what you think was like the worst DLC, for instance, is like, because that's the thing. Like, if we all collectively agree that's the worst, there has to be something they could have done better. And you know.
I think it just comes down to like any other game out there. If you get a DLC pack, there are 4 maps in it, and you go to 3, and it's like, they're trying to set a new standard for, you know, what they're going to give us. To, you know, people are going to interpret that change in any way that they can. You know, I would assume probably has something to do with like, you know, they wanted to get the DLC out so they can start working and, you know, get more people devoted to the next Battlefield game. Like, that would be my guess. But it's something that it's like, so many people are going to be like, dude, 4 maps are the minimum. Like, I understand that we got, you know, air assault over here, but it's like, so many people are all about that infantry ground combat. And you give them 3 maps, and no matter what else you try and sell them as part of that DLC, it's never going to be whole to them.
Yeah.
Because they only got 75% of what they expected.
Yeah. We're like druggies, you know. You just decrease the potency in the drug, and we're all looking around like, I didn't get the kick anymore, you know. All right, Flak, are we ready to move on to our final topic? Awesome, Mambo, your topic. What do you want to discuss on the podcast today?
Right, segueing out of our least favorite DLC or favorite DLC, we move on to wanting more. Right, we want more guns. We want more. Maybe there's a reason they could only give us 3 infantry maps. Maybe it's because half of the team, the devs, are now working on the next Battlefield. And I, you know, Echo, you're a live streamer. I'm a live streamer. Flak gets comments of what's coming next in Battlefield 5 or Battlefield 2018 or Battlefield Bad Company 3 or Battlefield World War II. There's a lot of speculations coming in my chat saying, did you hear that the next Battlefield is going to be World War II? And I was like, well, did DICE send out an official statement stating this? I haven't seen anything, but there's a lot of websites that claim that they got the inside scoop. So what do you guys feel about all this so-called rumors? The rumor mill starts rolling. And as a game developer and as a game company owner, such as EA, that's a good thing because it creates buzz. So is the buzz meant to be buzz? Did they put a little carrot on a stick out there to some known writers so they could leak a little something just to create? If it was me personally, guys, I would say something totally opposite, because when Battlefield 1's trailer launched back a couple years ago, everybody was like, oh my god, doom 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 doom. I was like, what the heck? World War One? That caught me on the left field because everybody was speculating that it was going to be Vietnam, Battlefield Bad Company 2. How easy we forget of what before Battlefield 1's launch was even going to be like. So we're in that situation again. How do you guys feel? Flak, Echo, do you think this is the rumor mill is going full scale here, or do you think there's some legitimacy to this World War II claim?
I think, having looked at all the rumors, right? Like I've watched all the rumor videos. Like I'm not going to name the people who did the rumor videos because this brings me to my second point that I think they're just full of BS. I mean, to be 100% honest, like I have a master's degree in critical communication studies. Like generally, if somebody's lying, there are a number of reasons you can tell that they're lying about things.
Like, where's your sources?
Like sources aside, when you actually look at the content of the link of the leaks, when you actually look at it, like I made a list of the first time it happened. And this person's leaks, and I just made a list of things that they were saying, and it was like Battlefield will have guns, Battlefield will have vehicles, Battlefield will have maps, and it's like, yeah,
wait,
I can make stuff up here as well. Yeah, but it's like he's just, making it sound interesting using clever buzzwords or pulling references from existing Battlefield maps where somebody's going to be like, oh, I remember that, like that would be really cool, like. There's no truth to it whatsoever from what I've been reading. It's like somebody is grasping at straws. They're really hoping that anything will stick there. And from the point of view of content creation, like I get that. It's something that if you can put together a video that's kind of decent and you can throw out some vague claims to things and say,
so this is clickbait.
It's totally clickbait. It is 100% clickbait because there is not a shred of solid information out of there. And I say solid, like in terms of a detail. If you look at one of the people who leaked some of the stuff for Battlefield 1 before it came out, he actually had like serious answers that turned out to be true. Like he went into details. And that said, yeah, he must have had some inside documents. He had an inside source, like he was detailed. And the same person now is trying to say, oh, well, I know about this next game coming out. And it's nothing like his leak for Battlefield 1. Like there is zero detail. It's literally, there will be guns, there will be vehicles, there will be maps.
Yeah, but that's silly, right? But
you know what? But it's like people will swallow that gravy, right, and say like this is the most crazy, like just take it for truth. And it's like, did you stop and critically listen to anything that this person was saying? Because if you did, you would realize that they have zero information whatsoever. Like there's just no truth to it at all. And it's something, it's like, I fully admit, that this person in particular is their first leak for Battlefield 1, totally legitimate. But they got nothing on this other one.
Flak, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been listening to the rumors as much as everyone else has, and people pop into my chat all the time talking about this and that. I looked at the splash screen with Battlefield V, all that stuff. And look, man, this got to be some truth to it. I'm not sold on the fact that it's not 100% true. You know what I mean? I think there's some truth there because.
But it's nothing. It's literally nothing.
It's
like,
nothing.
Oh, there might be some truth to it. If I'm like, oh, it could be II, and then it turns out to be World War II, you could be like, see, there was some truth to that. When I'm literally just throwing darts at a board and saying, hey, this is what it could be. But going back to like, sorry, I'm really passionate about this because I really hate it when people go and do clickbait stuff that they just want the views, they just want the subs.
Well, you're speaking from that's your passion. You're a YouTuber, so you're probably watching like 20 other YouTubers just like Battlefield 2018, World War II confirmed, and then you're looking like, wow, look at this 20,000 views on this video.
I don't even put comments on these videos, Flak, because I don't want to be the negative Nancy to go into their channel.
The other reason that I think that some of these leaks are full of BS, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but I just cannot see it happening from a business standpoint. The most recent leak that I read was like premium comes back. It's going to be like how premium all, and I don't think we're going to see premium again. I don't. If I was making the game, there would be no premium. Like you got to look at like Fortnite out there. You got to look at Rainbow Six Siege. You got to look at all these other
I think
all these other games that are
I think the season
ditching
pass,
that season pass.
No, but like they're treating the season pass differently. Where,
Yeah.
they're trying
where
to do
Battlefield's
this
premium
whole
is like,
crate
you
thing.
pay us $50, you're good for that content for a year and a half, however long it's gonna make us create it. That's it, right? But you look at Siege, which is like, yeah, you don't pay us 50, you pay us 30, but it's every year, you know? Or you look at Fortnite, it's like, hey, I know the game is free, but you get the season pass every few months, you know? It's like
I can't see them doing it the same way.
You don't think so? I really think they're gonna do that,
I don't
dude.
think so.
I really think they're gonna do that. But that's not a rumor we heard. But I want to talk about the splash screen, guys. It's blue. It's purple. It's got these vibes. To me, that splash screen tells me modern Battlefield. The World War II stuff, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think so. If it was World War II, it would be dark. It would be gritty. You know what I mean? It would be like
What splash
greenish.
screen are you talking about?
You haven't seen the Battlefield V splash screen?
No, put the link up.
Somebody link it, please. Joe Mike, you're too OP. You probably have a link on in your
he's
in
got
your
it like
paste
key
box.
bound.
Yeah, he's got key bound. Oh, whoa, whoa. This will be like a Control Alt Windows key T for him, you know? It's like so can we get a link in that for everybody else in the chat? It's like, all right, so this is like, it says Battlefield, it says V because like 5, and a lot of people are speculating for why V and whatnot, but I think it's, if you're going to go with a bluish, purplish hue, undertone, all that, I think it's modern.
Got that color scheme of like Battlefield 4.
No, it's obviously they're gonna go for something different. They don't go back. Battlefield always tries to make each game very different, so people don't start saying the silly thing that people say on the internet. Reskin, you know, like everyone always says that.
I'm gonna crack up if it's Hardline 2, like out of nowhere.
Nah, dude, come on, man. Now that is unfounded, ladies and gentlemen. Flakfire, unfounded.
Yeah.
Don't make a YouTube video about this.
Hashtag Hardline 2 confirmed.
Flak, you know what? I don't want to be a troll on the internet, but if I was you with your YouTube channel, I'd be like, Hardline 2 confirmed, just to see what happens.
So purple, there's purple in it. So what faction of war has anybody in any military sense used a purple logo or purple emblems, anything purple?
I don't know, but this is an interesting point that I haven't. Fleas X in the chat here says, you know, V, which was my first immediate thought, but then he's like V for Vietnam.
I heard that. You know, but it could be also for vasectomy. I mean, he did write that in his comment, so.
God.
It is 2018.
I don't know, you know. Maybe instead of DICE focusing on destructible environments, they'll go on destructible, you know, human parts.
How like
Right. Well,
Sniper Elite 4, where you can actually target the kibbles and bits.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, you know what? I hear these rumors, and I'm like, Mambo, there's gotta be some truth. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if DICE and EA weren't purposefully throwing things in there to confuse people. Because you don't want people to have complete truth, you know?
Right.
There's gotta be some fake stuff out there that they're feeding to somebody. But the fact that, like, you got big places like Kotaku, Polygon, you got big places covering this stuff and saying that they have sources that are credible, that are actually saying that this stuff is true, especially when they're talking World War II, starting to make me think, like, I think it's gonna be something else, but it's making me think that it probably is gonna be World War II, guys. Because you got people in IGN, Kotaku talking about that.
I think there's kind of like a natural progression between World War I and World War II. You know, I mean, there's a lot of similarities there. There were some, you know, reuse of weapons between the two wars. You know, so there's a number of reasons why that would be a plausible thing there. But it's just looking at the quality of the leaks that we have so far. There's just nothing there, and
yeah,
it's something that
low quality.
You know, hundreds. You know, 100,000 people have watched this leak video, you know, and it's like, after you get done wasting 10 minutes of your time listening to it, and you have a list of everything substantial that they said, that list is empty. You know, so it's something I doubt the veracity of these leakers and the information that they might have. There's just nothing there that encourages me to actually say, okay, this seems legitimate. Like, It's
Do you
just
guys
nothing.
do you guys remember a solid leak from BF1? I remember when I was at EA Play, and I think the day before that, someone leaked a picture of the cover that hit Twitter. Do you remember that?
I don't remember
And
that,
that's
but
when everyone knew it was like, this is gonna be World War One, and we were kind of like, probably. And then the next day, EA reveals the whole thing. Boom, World War One, right?
the one of the leakers who's supposedly leaking information for this next Battlefield had a one. I mean, that leak was 100% true for Battlefield One, and that was months before the reveal. And I think a lot of people didn't believe him at the time, but it was something he had some very real information there. But this other time he's made another video, and it's just devoid of anything substantial.
You look at other companies though, like Apple releasing the next iPhone, Samsung, the next Galaxy S8 or whatever, and they try to keep this whole product development on covert ops. They keep it in the lock room. Only a few people know what it actually looks like, so that there's no leaks and whatnot. EA not being excluded from that, they try to keep only a few people of their dev team knowing what they're working on. It's kind of hard to do when you got different platforms you got to make it for, and different developers working on different artwork, lead artists. You have more control on a device as opposed to software. So yeah, it's possible it could have been leaked out there, but you're talking, you're getting into the stock market when you start talking about, hey, shares of your company based on fake news. To me, it seems logical that I would throw a left hook for everybody to go eat that fake news while we're actually working over here on something else to shock you, because your stock values go way up on the stock market based on the product you're going to release. I mean, this is their product, Electronic Arts. They deliver digital content. So if I'm going to be a CEO, if I'm the chief financial officer saying, hey, we want to take a piece of PUBG and incorporate it in the next Battlefield.
That'd be like a huge spike.
I read
in
an article that the CFO of EA mentioned that, hey, we like some of the elements of PUBG into our game. I'm not quoting him, but I know that was the way he kind of talked about that in the interview that he had. I was like, whoa, okay, maybe they're going to incorporate a battle royale game mode in the next Battlefield. It's just little right and left hooks they just keep throwing out there to help build the nostalgia. So I think until we see E3 is June 12th. I'm looking at on the map right now.
EA Play is June 9th to 11th. I'm personally going. Are you guys yet?
I haven't signed up yet. I was waiting for you to tell me you had an extra bed, Flak. I mean,
I'll bring a sleeping bag.
There you go. This little slumber party for olds, right?
Yeah, I know that we're not gonna 100% know until then. It'd be weird. Oh, let's. This is a little bit of a side derail, but it kind of pertains. Call of Duty just announced theirs. Division, like it was like, what is it, like a announce everything Tuesday?
Black Ops 4.
Black Ops 4.
But we're not doing Roman numerals.
I don't think they ever were. Those are just like them just doing sticks. They count in sticks, and the next one will be slashed over. I mean, like,
I could see that.
But it was just like a day where everybody ever just started announcing the things. Like even Nintendo's like, hey, Super Smash Brothers, whatever. I'm like, it was crazy. So Battlefield did not participate in that. Is that hurting Battlefield or no?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. I'm really hoping that we'll see what we saw before the release of Battlefield 1, where they did like a 5-second teaser or something the day before EA Play, and then you got the full trailer the next day. Like, I like that. I like the suspense. I like that nobody really knew what was going on with that. And I like that we got other trailers leading up to the release of it before it got to October. Because I had a lot of fun with that, making content on it. But, that really built up the hype for the game. So I think we're seeing some of that right now. with the leaks coming out, and
Right.
what bothers me about IGN and the other places who were doing coverage on the leaks, they were initially like totally clickbaiting it with their original titles. Like it took them like 4 hours or something to add like report or allegedly to their titles. So it's like they were writing confirm this, they were writing this is what it's going to be, and then like a few hours after they got all the clicks that they could get, they finally added like might or allegedly, like all these things to make it be like, all right, so we don't really know, but we just wanted you to click
just
on
straight up
look
whoops at the end, like
no, I mean, because that would require actually admitting that they did something
wrong,
questionable.
right? Yeah.
It's going to be on the cover of the next Inquiry magazine at your local newsstand.
Oh, not that.
Yeah, the fake news.
The fake news one. But I don't know. I mean, I just like, yo, what's taking Battlefield so long, man? Like, can we get a 2-second teaser trailer? Can we get a Flakfire frame by frame analysis?
I would love to. I miss
like
doing
2
those.
seconds.
That's
Like
so fun. Be like 2-frame video. It'll be talk for 20 minutes about it.
Yo, it would be hilarious. No, but I do see that too. That's another talk. Like, when you see something like a 30-second thing and then you see like a breakdown video that's 20 minutes long on YouTube, I'm like, that's weird. All right, guys. Mambo, is that good? Can we pivot to the next part of this podcast?
Yeah, we have a lot of people that follow us. We're content creators for Battlefield, and of course, with the next Battlefield coming, now that we've pretty much went through our life cycle of Battlefield 1, we're anxious for the next Battlefield. So, of course, the rumor mill, and the speculation will come in to our prospective content, whether it's a live stream or a YouTube video, and hit us up with, what do you think about this? What do you think about that link? What do you think about that link? So
Yeah.
I think it was a pretty good discussion today, guys. Just stay tuned to Battlefield's official Reddit page and Twitter page and find out more in the next coming months. I mean, we're really like 8 weeks away. If you think about
it's insane.
It's only 8 weeks away.
I bet by the next time we sit down to do this podcast, we will have so much more information, and it'll just be like,
maybe
I think this will be a running segment. This will be like a running segment of whatever is going on, because it's exciting. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Might have a fourth member for that podcast too by that point.
Ooh,
oh snap!
maybe.
Yeah, we're working on things.
I'm
Maybe we'll have
referencing.
an official leak from Flakfire Gaming, somebody that knows something that we all.
I was going to suggest, I might have little baby here by that point.
Baby on the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yo, all right.
Congrats.
You just get them a controller, him or her. I don't know if you're keeping it a secret right now.
No.
But get him or her controller. Get him started on that Xbox. You're good to go. It's exciting, man.
I think you should change to the PlayStation for the baby. The baby's got to have the PlayStation. You got to have the Xbox.
If she's half of me, then she's going to hold PlayStation.
Oh, he just cut out.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
now we'll never know. Like, imagine if she's half of me, she's gonna hold. Done.
if she holds the PlayStation controller, she's just mad. So.
Oh, I see. You cut out again. I don't know.
Whatever.
It wasn't meant to be.
up.
Excuse me, Flak. I'm censoring you. That's what's happening right now.
The word Xbox has been cut out audibly
from this stream. Otherwise, you have to pay Microsoft for rights. No. All right. So we're gonna move on to our next segment for this podcast. What we do normally is after our discussions, our 3 topics are discussed on this topic, we try to bring something personal that we want to discuss for the month, and you guys are always in the chat discussing along with us. It's the awesome thing about recording the podcast live. That's what I like about it. So our next segment is a listener email. Unfortunately, we didn't receive an email. So if you're watching this recording on YouTube, or you're like watching it on iTunes and you want your thoughts read out here, it's simple. Email us, theletstalkpodcast@gmail.com. All right, so we didn't receive an email, but Flak had a comment that he wanted to share on his YouTube channel. What was the comment, Flak?
Jack of all traits on YouTube said on the last podcast video, he said, will there be standalone maps between now and Battlefield 2018?
It's a great question. I know we discussed our hopes in this rumor mill of 2018, but Battlefield 1's still here to stay for another, what, how many months?
7 months, 8 months, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Pretty crazy. So, what do you guys expect?
I expect a new map every couple months, maybe every 3 months. So maybe like 2 maps between now and the release of the next game. I think it's something like they want to give us something to do. They want to continue to support the game in some meaningful way, but still without taking a lot of resources from development of the next Battlefield. So I look at it, I'm like, hey, 1 or 2 maps would be great. You know, just give us something interesting to do here, you know, to keep us playing the game until the next game comes out.
What if the reason Apocalypse only had 3 maps is because they secretly developed 2 more, and you know that's already done, and they're gonna give us those 2 more?
Where's your tinfoil hat, Echo?
Right.
Oh, it's under my toupee.
Oh, okay.
I want dual wielding gasser pistols, man. I want to walk in.
Dude, I played Hardline, and there's a dual wielding like pistol, and when he aims, he goes like this. It's really cool. I thought that was kind of a nice touch on Hardline. You know what? Battlefield 4, I believe, had 3 maps at the end.
They did, and that's one reason, like, that sets a precedent. That's why I'm like, you know, I expect these things to be here, and I know I'm not alone. You know, I know a good chunk of the community remembers that from Battlefield 4, these community maps, right? Like Zavad Graveyard
they had the
Shift,
Zavad
right?
Graveyard Shift. They had the Dragon Pass. That was like a throwback to like Battlefield whatever. Forget which Battlefield that comes from. And then they had community-driven map, and that was really cool. I love picking up the M60 that you couldn't aim down sights, but you had like fire rounds, so you could just mow down a helicopter. It was so dope.
Didn't one of the devs retweet a comment about you making a World War One Metro or something like that, Flak? I seen a retweet from one of the devs from your tweet about.
I don't remember, but I hope so. That would be nice.
This was just a week or so ago. I got to go back and look at it. I was like, whoa, maybe they are going to make a Metro World War One of France.
You want to talk about things that bring people back to Battlefield 1? Just put Metro in the game. Just put Metro in the game and it's done. It's like, dude, that will keep people going until the next Battlefield game comes out.
I was watching a Westy video and he mentioned you in it. He was just like, or they're gonna add Metro like Flak keeps going on about. And I was like, oh, that's funny.
I think it's I'm taking the route of, if I just tweet this enough, eventually it'll happen. Like secret, right? You know, where like if you believe in something enough, it'll happen.
Right.
So I was thinking about the community map, and I know it was like an effort to create, but then I remembered that at the end of the live stream that they just had for Apocalypse, I think it was Dan Mitri was there too, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he slipped and he said something, and I don't know if a lot of people caught that. He said there'll be another live stream. And I was like in the chat right away, like, wait, a second live stream for Apocalypse? He said something about a second live stream for Apocalypse or something. Like, literally mentioned this, and I'm like, what? Did he just say, like, why would DICE have another live stream for Apocalypse? Unless there's some more content.
In our next live stream or something.
And he said something about Apocalypse. Joe, I remember, he says, Joe said, I remember hearing something about a night map operation. Well, I don't know about if it was pertaining to that, but I remember talking to Joe Mike after that live stream. I was like, wait, did you get that? And he was like, yeah, that was weird. Like, I think they slipped on some information.
Right.
I really hope so, because I would love to see a night map operation or just something else, you know. And it's like Battlefield is supposed to be doing monthly updates to things. So, I mean, it would be a pretty dull live stream if they, you know, have a
corner Andrew Galata in a hallway again in the dark.
Dude,
that was in a recording booth. It was not a hallway.
Oh yeah, I saw that video too.
He had no way out of there. Hallway, you can either, you know, go down.
Yeah, get out.
Where are you going? Where you going, Andrew? Where are you going? I got you. Camera on you.
No, that to me was very interesting, because what would be another live stream about?
Right.
You know what though? Here's the thing. I know that Battlefield 1, especially when it came to Battlefield 1, they want to be very historically accurate, because that seems to be like very important to them. That's why they didn't make operations with the new maps and all this extra stuff. But would you guys even care, like, if they do a metro and it's totally laid out like the metro that we know, but it's just got, you know, World War I graphics? Like, I know that realism was like, this is not a real location. You know what I mean? Like, back then, like, does that bother anybody? Like, to me, no.
I'd like, a lot of the maps aren't really that historically accurate. You know, like they're named after, and it's like, okay, they kind of look like a place, or like, okay, there's some similarities between that place. It's also like least... you can't make something like 1-to-1 historically accurate because it's not going to be fun.
Yeah.
You know, so I look at it, I'm like, you know what, if there's references here and there that I can look at, oh, you know, this really reminds me of this historical place or this historical event, then that's great, you know. But it's something that if it was laid out exactly like Metro in Battlefield 4, that wouldn't bother me one bit.
We have a comment about Mr. Jab saying Fortnite updates are better than BF1. The only thing about Fortnite I would say is Fortnite makes it's nice that they make update all the time, and I think Battlefield should move towards that too. But Fortnite does like, oh, new gun, that's it. You know, like, I mean,
well, I mentioned that
updates
in our,
are usually more.
Podcast, Echo. Do you remember I said 2 weeks later, drop a gun. 2 weeks later, drop a map. 2 weeks later, drop a gun. 2 weeks later, drop a map. And that really keeps the Hunger Games going. But
and Fortnite's doing that piece by piece thing, but they only have like one map. That's all you ever play on. And they just do like, oh, here's a new city, here's a new location. And it seems to be like, oh, they're constantly updating the map, but they're only doing very little to actually update it, you know?
Well, it's still, though, it gives them a reason to go out there and say, hey, we made something, come check it out.
Yeah.
Right. There's learning.
And it works. It works. And you got the same thing where it's like, oh, we put this new gun in the game. Oh, we put this, disco grenade in the game.
I think you're right. It does work, but I just wanted to draw a distinction about that. Why, for instance, Battlefield 1 doesn't do that, and you know what I mean, why Fortnite does it, and I wouldn't say they're comparable as updates because they're very, like, it's like looking at a schedule of updates and then micro updates, and they're just very, very different.
But it's like, Fortnite is making DLC. The most of what it has. Like, it has very small in terms of content. Like, nothing is super substantial. It's just little tidbits here and there. But it's like, it gives them a reason to communicate to the community regularly.
Yeah, their communication is great.
It's just stuff that you get it out there, and people get excited over each of those little things, and they do it consistently throughout the month. Whereas if Battlefield puts out a DLC content pack, every 2 or 3 months, it's like people get excited about that for like a week, and then there's nothing for another 6 weeks.
True.
So Fortnite, in the way that their model is built here, they stay relevant.
When you think of that, like, I know DICE just came out with the specializations that are like extremely hard, like those four horsemen dog tags. Imagine they took a month and they just one every week. Like, that'd be exciting. I'd be like, yo, guys, we got a new horseman dog tag. Let's go do this crazy, stupid, I need to do some insane thing to unlock. Like, and that's when it would start to be like for instance, an update schedule like Fortnite. And I think that should be the future of Battlefield. But hey, I don't know the logistics. And
I like the fact that they put a calendar on Fortnite as well. Like, this is the days. This is a little small calendar in the UI. That battle pass thing that they do. That would be very good. Yeah, it's very nice to see when things are going to happen. Like, we talk about our topic, what could DICE do better to communicate to the community, Echo? And I see something like that as a constant way. I mean, I have a Google Calendar for my live stream, and I put stuff up there what I'm going to stream on that Google Calendar. So all you got to do is click the link, and you see what's happening on a little calendar. Incorporate that into the UI. So
you know what? When you say that, that's one of the things. Like, we're sitting here and we're debating what's coming next for Battlefield in the next 6 months. In my opinion, you're right. There should be a clear roadmap. Battlefield says, look, here's our roadmap. You're going to get this. It has to be vague. Like, Rainbow Six Siege does this. They just talked about their new updates, whatever. At least they give a roadmap. Here's what we're aiming for. Uncharted
did the same thing. They did like a scroll. You roll it out. Here's the roadmap. It was pretty cool like that. I like that.
And that stuff is valuable to the player base, to the content creators. I mean, I'd like to see that in the next Battlefield too. Like, if they can give me at least a 6-month roadmap. If not, at least commit to a 3-month roadmap. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to know what's gonna happen. You know,
Right.
I don't want to be like, speculation is nice and everything else, and it's interesting to talk about, but I'd rather be in the know, because then there's still speculation. Like, I know we're getting a map. It's like, oh, what kind of map we're getting? You know, I know we're getting a new weapon, but what kind of weapon are we getting? What can they think of? Blah blah blah. You know, it's just like, these are things that other games are doing, and DICE and Battlefield has not adopted yet, and I think that's an important thing for the community.
Right. If you're going to give us a community map or something, show it in a calendar. This is the day the new map we're working on is going to be released. And then people are engaged that way. Like, okay, I'm tuning in regularly because I'm ready for that. It builds that anticipation.
All right,
Next
guys,
comments?
let's open up the podcast to live questions from the audience, because
Right.
we got off track on that one with the whole a single map thing. But I guess to wrap it up, I think they will. Flak, do you think they will? Probably, right? I mean, it's safe to assume. I mean, I'm hopeful that they would at least give us some single maps, maybe 2, like Flak said. So the last segment of this podcast, of course, it is recorded live. Our favorite thing. We're all live streamers here. Even Flak streams on Twitch. And it's interesting because, you know, like, you think you watch a YouTuber, you watch a podcast, and you're just like, man, kind of like celebrity, right? Nah, man, you could come here and sit down and have a conversation with us live. It doesn't even matter. We're super accessible, especially on Twitter, right? All of us are active on Twitter. And if you're watching this live, you can at someone, say you had a question for Flakfire, not us. Just type in at Flakfire.
Facebook's for grandmas.
Or if you want a question for all of us, put at crew or at cast. We're gonna get to those live questions right now. Let's see. The next thing I would say while these people are queuing up some questions is, of course, we'll be streaming this podcast again in a month's time. We have gone to a monthly schedule. Possible when the new release happens, we might amp things up a bit. But for the time being, as Flak is expecting, you know, I mean, there's a lot of life things going on in the background. It's still amazing that we get to sit down like this. Thank you guys for supporting it and watching the show and enjoying it. Seriously, I mean, maybe you're listening to us just audio. Maybe you're watching us, because we do put our video feeds so you can actually see our hands and you can see the chat and stuff. Pretty awesome. Like I said, rate us on iTunes. It's pretty awesome. I believe if you watching on YouTube, if you leave a like or comment, or, you know, we try to get you guys incorporated as well. Yeah, and let's get into some questions. Do we have any questions in the chat? Oh, we got Slayer66 crew. Would you prefer sticking to standard old-style Conquest Rush map style to avoid situation where people fall in love with operations and then they get disappointed when one type of game mode doesn't get content? Well, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah, because Echo is salty. He didn't get another operation.
I am. It does suck because that operation became my go-to mode. Dude, that's interesting, Slayer.
Did you know that operations came from Medal of Honor?
You told me. Yeah, I actually found out from you from the podcast when we were just hanging out talking. You know what? My answer to that, Slayer, is when you build a game and you create a game mode as operations, it has its own tab in the game. It's like a big to-do. This is our big thing. And then you just drop it towards the end. Why? This is your premier game mode. If I was to say, if Battlefield 1 should be defined by some sort of game mode to me it's operations. It's weird that they dropped it.
The love is there.
Any other general thing you guys want to say?
Nah, I think it's...
I'm kind of torn on that. You know, there are certain game modes out there that it's like, you know, I think Battlefield 2, where it's like, you know, in the original Bad Company, like those maps were built for Rush, right? You know, and I don't really like playing Rush in the current iteration of Battlefield games here, because it's just been kind of like converted to those maps.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you lose something if you're like, okay, we're going to have game mode for this map that it's not really intended to be on.
Yeah, it's
you
the
know,
design.
you lose some stuff with that. But at the same point, like, I appreciate the option. Whether or not that's worth taking the time to go and do. I can't make that decision. I know other people love Operations. I don't play very often. Pretty much all I play is Conquest. So
okay. We had another question for Flak. It's just, I think Big Jolly wants to know if that's an L couch or not.
It's a couch and then a chair. That's what it is.
Oh. It's from this perspective.
I know. Like, what is it?
Yeah. We answered that one, Big Jolly.
We got a good question from Bloodhound in here, and he said, does EA use YouTubers as essentially free advertising? And the answer to that is like, kind of, but not really, at least from my perspective. A lot of times where you'll see, I'll do a video on CTE content. And it's like, I don't get paid to do that, but I do get, like a 24-hour exclusive window for, video content on that, along with all the other people who got to play in the game, right? So it's like a trade in some ways, where, I get content not everybody else has for a few hours, but I also do a video for them. So I wouldn't say it's free advertising. I get something from it, so that's nice. But yeah, I don't know how you Twitch streamers feel about that, because certainly that's something that's there as well too. And you guys, I make a 5-minute video, you guys play for 6 hours. Like, I think there's more advertising done on your part there.
You know what? I probably sold more copies of Battlefield 1 than I know.
This is true.
Just because, I've always said I stream the game I stream because I play the game I play because I love it, and I end up having... the reason I'm here even on a podcast talking about Battlefield is just simply love the game. And that's why I stream, that's why I play. But I'm pretty sure when people see somebody having so much fun having, playing Battlefield, they're like, you know what, maybe I put that game down. Or maybe I never bought it. Or maybe it's like, oh snap, it might be on sale, And it's like, oh, this guy's having fun. And maybe like that convinces people to buy a game. We do live in that world when that does happen. But I don't directly think that they think it's free. They probably do think it's free advertisement. But I think it's more about community. And I feel like there are communities being built around channels on Twitch, on YouTube, and communities play together. And even you ask a lot of people and they'll be like, oh, do you like Battlefield or do you not like Battlefield 1? They'll tell you yeses or nos. And just, if you ask them why, a lot of the yeses, I think, are going to come from, oh, my friends play it, and we all sit down and it's like, dude, there's a lot to complain about Battlefield. But if I made a podcast about complaining, I mean, that's just kind of silly. You can go read Reddit comments about complaints. I really think the podcast's focus is to build the community, to bring the community together, get some better ideas out there. And I feel like the people who dropped Battlefield 1 are simply just, one-offs. Maybe their community of friends dropped it and they dropped it as a result. It's kind of like that. I mean, gaming is a social thing. Whether you find friends on a Twitch channel to play with, or you just found friends by simply always going to game chat and you randomly found people and you just like started playing with them all the time. Like, I bet a lot of you guys in the chat right now have that one friend you ain't never met, and you just one time met him and you played a few rounds and you added each other, and now you guys talk to each other all the time when you log on your Xbox or your PlayStation. The world is a crazy thing now. So
Joe Mike, in particular, somebody that I don't know but have gamed against and with a couple times, has a question. He says, at Crew, what is your favorite gun in the game now that you've played through the entire enough after the TTK patch? Well, the TTK patch I don't agree with, but at the same time, the longevity of Battlefield is on its downward slope, and people playing from a lot of regions, this is one way to help reduce high value pings all over the world. In my opinion, that's one of an easy fix. So that's a whole nother topic beside that. Favorite gun, I love the new LMG. The L08, is it? LMG 08? Is that the new?
Oh, the
Mhm.
newest one? Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. What do you got, Flak?
MP18 still forever and always.
Really?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a solid gun, man. Oh man, just to say pick one extreme favorite, it's hard because the time to kill patch screwed my Benet up.
Yeah. Exactly.
I love that gun, man. Man, you know my go-to now is the bar storm, but I feel dirty. It's
You
like
should try the
being,
Matson.
it's like being the AEK user in Battlefield 4. You should feel dirty for doing that.
After the TTK patch, the Matson is
Yeah,
really
but
good.
Flak, we talked about this, man. I don't want you to punch me in one eye when I play. You know, that's what it feels like when you play with the mats. You're just like punching yourself in one eye, and
You got
then
a
you
bar
know
in
you see
front of
the
you,
other
like,
one, right?
Hey, which
like
eye
you-
do I want to aim with?
It's like you went to a what is it? An eye doctor, and you're trying to see which eye sees better than the other. uh, I don't know. It's hard to pick a favorite. I do have a favorite per class kind of thing, but you know what?
You got to pick one.
If I was pressured to pick one, I'll randomly say something like Guerre 98, Marksman.
All right. There you go.
I'm not even a sniper, but I don't know. I like it.
All right. Any other questions from the chat?
We have something.
Comments?
We got comments with Call of Duty coming out in October this year rather than November. Do you feel like the Battlefield will come out earlier as well as staying? No. Here's the thing. Now that's very interesting because let's be real. Battlefield 1 stomped on Call of Duty.
Right.
They stomped them. And
Content wise, maybe not sales, but content wise.
yeah,
okay.
yo, no, I mean, sales wise, that Infinite Warfare did horrible, right? Compared to all other Call of Duties. I think they still outsold Battlefield, but it's the first time Battlefield was like neck and neck with them. And that hurts. When you're a big publisher like Activision and big publisher like EA, you know there's some rivalries going on. And so when EA goes to say that, and they're like, ha, you know what I mean? And then the other guys are like, you know? So now there's some sour feelings. So they did what they did. Number one, they announced their game before Battlefield because they're trying to get the hype. And they're trying to really cater to their fan base by making a Black Ops 4 and saying it's going to be like Black Ops 1. You know what I mean? Because they already went boots on the ground. Like, COD is trying to go back and recapture all the people it's lost. But them putting the release before Battlefield, that's a zinger.
Right, because typically hasn't Battlefield always released before Call of Duty? Like,
because here's the thing.
last
When you're on
Battlefield?
top, when you're the big guy, like yeah, I know Flak, I know you love Xbox, but let's be real, right now PS4 is beating them. When you're the person on top, you don't care what the other person's doing. Whatever, you know? So you're gonna release your game and you're like, they're gonna be before us, but that's because that's the only way they're gonna get sales. You know what I mean? But now the big guys trying to be like, oh, you want sales? Check this out. And then, you know, a lot of the people who are gonna buy COD, or if it's too close to Battlefield, like, let's be real, a lot of us don't have $60, 100, $120. Let's be like, and plus like some season passes or whatever, all that aside, like, that's a big deal. I don't think the date is gonna change for Battlefield. I seriously don't.
Did they set a date?
No.
I think they
yes,
just said October.
I think they did.
Did they?
I don't know if there's a solid date. I just know that during some conference call they said October.
Well, here's the thing now. Now you start looking at it and you like EA. I think EA is a real funny, like, they're very, very aggressive with their marketing strategies. I think they might try to push it up and try to beat them to that money, because that stuff, look, I mean, there are people who like both games, and at the end of the day it also comes down to like, what am I gonna buy? And sometimes when you have $60 and you're like, I want Battlefield 1, I mean Battlefield whatever and COD whatever, but I have $60 and I sometimes you're just like, weak, I don't want to wait, I'll just buy this one because everyone's talking about it.
I think that's bait, Echo. I think they're trying to make the developers at DICE release a game that's not complete yet, and then you get you lower your quality of your product. I think EA should sit back, let Activision show their hand and see what their cards are like, and then develop and release a better game 2, 3, 4 weeks later, not before. Yeah.
I'm looking at it from the point of view of, I think it's something Activision is doing with the idea of, like, you know, you're going to inevitably, a large portion of the population, the gaming population, is going to be sitting there like, well, I got $60 to spend on a game, not 120. You know, they got $60 to spend on a game. Well, I'm going to buy the first one that comes out.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's something of, like, I think
if I was
trying
EA,
to get ahead of.
I wouldn't let that happen. I would release my game a week before they do.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of games that are captured at EA E3 this year. We've already seen the announced Division 2. We know we got a huge release from Rockstar called Red Dead Redemption.
Mm-hmm.
Last of Us 2. There's going to be a lot of big games that are going to be on display at E3 this year. So whether a gamer has $60 is not a question. They better get ready for it. 120.
Yo, guys, get another job. You're gonna need a lot of money for these games.
Right.
No, but if I was to, no, dude, you make a great point, Mama. It's just gonna be a lot more than just $60.
The people are going to take out loans this holiday.
Right.
This is like the opposite of like the Bitcoin like loans. Like this is like,
Yeah.
oh man.
I don't see them changing the release date for Battlefield. Like, it's just something I think COD is kind of banking on. Okay, you know, people will buy our game because it's gonna come out.
Dude,
first.
but if they don't change Battlefield to be before COD, it's gonna hurt their sales.
I don't know if it will, because, you know, it's gonna be Black Ops, which means it's gonna be, you know, something to do with future warfare again, which
they're saying it's Black Ops 1 style. So no exosuits. Dude, they're not doing exosuits, man. They got so much hate for that. They went back to boots on ground. You think they can go with exosuits again?
I don't know. They went back to boots on ground for COD World War II, and it wasn't even good. I don't know. I don't know if they know how to do boots on.
Dude, no. I simply think World War II is a good Call of Duty, but it's not, you know, Modern Warfare 2 to me. And I'm a Battlefield fan, and I'll still say I thought World War II is actually decent. I actually had fun playing it, search and destroy and stuff, and I like not you know, oh my god, I gotta look up or something, you know, like, because some jetpack doofus is up there. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's gonna affect their sales. If I was EA, I would push it up before them. Be like, yo, you try to be before us, we're before you, and then we'll see who goes before.
I don't care about the sales. I don't want a repeat of Battlefield 4 launch. Like, you let that game take as long as it takes to get it out properly and without having just game-breaking issues. Like, Battlefield 4.
Release another Titanfall as well. I heard something to the rumors that a new Titanfall from EA is going to come out since they bought out Respawn. I'm like, uh-oh, what's that mean?
Dude, I mean, if they make another single player as good as Titanfall 2's single player,
not as good.
Down. That was the best FPS game I've played in a long time, single player wise. I'm not into the jetpack joyride thing, you know, but
it was good. It was a really good single player.
I think it's a big deal that they're trying to come back, and they're trying to come back hard by pushing up the game to October. Let's see. Do we have time? We have time for like another question or two. Crew, do you think Battlefield would ever look into Milsim community? Because right now on PS4 alone, there's a big community enjoying Milsim on BF4. What do you mean?
I don't understand what Milsim.
I think, you know,
no, like a military simulator,
the really hardcore military simulator
on
games
Battlefield
like Arma.
Oh,
and that
there's
kind
a
of
game
stuff.
out on PC right now that's in the alpha stage. What was
Squad.
It called?
Right? Squad? Yeah.
Mm.
And isn't that coming to PlayStation as well?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think so. I think they're gonna release that game this year.
That's another one. You know, a military sim. So
a little bit more serious, a little bit more realistic, but I don't think it has destructible environments.
All right.
We answered that question fast. That was good. I mean, that's record time.
Right.
BF4 launch was bad, but overrated. Overall, the game produced well at Crew. Well, that's not a question, Mr. Jab. That's a comment.
I would agree with that. So that's just something like it blows my mind not play the game's campaign until like 4 months after launch, because it wouldn't save my progress with Battlefield 4.
I played it multiple times, even though it didn't save my progress. And it would destroy my progress, and I played again. Destroy my progress, play it again. That's because I couldn't log on online, and I was like, what else is there to do with my PlayStation 4? Nothing was out at the time. It was just like, all right, I guess I'm trying again on single player and making sure no one bothers me or blows on my PS4 so it explodes. You know, I was like, don't breathe when you come in here, you know? All right, guys, we got room for one last question. You've been enjoying this conversation of randomness at the end of the podcast. Tell us a question. What's on your mind?
Yeah.
The sea of blue hype.
So, Echo, you're going to EA Play, correct?
Confirmed.
Yeah. And the day, that's the weekend of June what?
June 9th to 11th. Tickets are free for EA Play, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But expect huge lines because it's insane.
No, the lines were really long last year.
At
They
E3.
were like around the block.
And last year's EA Play was like the second they ever did, or third?
It was the second.
Yeah. So this is relatively new, you know?
Right.
I was there. It was a lot of fun.
Right.
It was
think
really
the lines
cool
are
to be
bad
there.
last year during E3. Wait until there's a upcoming console launch for an E3. It will be really bad. I think next E3, possibly Sony going to show off their next console. Yeah. I've heard rumors there's already dev kits going out for the next the next console for Sony. So
that makes sense.
I am not going to miss next year's EA Play.
I want to know
sure.
what's going to happen
Echo,
at E3.
My words written in blood.
You're going?
Year.
All right, man.
You better get 2
We're
beds.
going to meet IRL first time, man.
Because I'm going to
go. Listen, I want to know what Microsoft is going to do this E3. I really want to know.
They got to do something.
Well, I want to know. They already have a powerful console. Super, stupid powerful. I want to know, are they going to go enter virtual reality? Because if they come out with a headset, the only thing, the thing is, the PlayStation headset is good. It's good.
Well, they're not making Kinect anymore, so they have to find another way to get you to buy some worthless peripheral.
Yo,
right.
That's not true, though. Like, it's not going to be worthless. Because I think virtual reality is the future. I really do.
I think it's really cool, too. I'm just had to buy it with Kinect. It was like one of the dumbest decisions out there.
Yeah, so you cut off a little bit, but I get what you're saying. I just want to see if they're going to make a headset that's going to compete with PlayStation VR. Because PlayStation VR is like the most successful VR headset now. Even better than Oculus, like as success-wise, or HTC Vive. Even though those are arguably like more beefy I can't call them consoles. I guess products, like they have like better specs. But, you know, PSVR is limited in the fact that even the PS4 Pro, as powerful as it is, to render something twice in 1080p per each eye, it's hard to do for even a PS4 Pro. I imagine it's going to be easier, like with a Xbox One X, so they can probably do a nicer headset. And if Microsoft is not thinking about VR right now, I think that's a mistake.
Yeah.
I want to see what's going to happen then. Well, we got a couple of people just kind of saying at crew, next BF game, Korea or a Civil War. I mean, just like, nah, we kind of discussed that already. Kind of missed it. You're going to have to rewind.
Korea.
Yeah.
I would like that.
A lot of content for Flakfire to create right there.
Yeah, I guess. You know what? Because you do have the historical knowledge. And that's why I like watching your videos. Because you always teach me about something I didn't know. That's nice about Battlefield 1. It's like, I don't know much about World War 1.
Right.
And I'm not grabbing a book. Please.
This is 2018. Who reads at the library?
There's got to be a YouTuber who's going to make a video about this.
Who reads at the library?
Oh my God. What a waste of
Cliff Notes.
What a waste of paper to print words on it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that'll just about wrap up our podcast. Fellas, last thoughts maybe? Nah, we're good, right? We discussed almost anything and everything this one.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Of course, we're gonna do sign-offs. Gentlemen, when you're not podcasting over here on this channel, where can they find you, Flakfire?
If you guys want to check me out on YouTube, it's youtube.com/FlakFireGaming. Also twitch.tv/Flakfire. And I've been having some fun over on Twitter lately, so do be sure to check that out as well. That's at Flakfire Gaming there. And I've been having fun lately doing like daily historical photos of things that
Dude, those are awesome.
relate to Battlefield, and people seem to enjoy those. So you can always go check that out.
That's one of my favorite things about following you on Twitter. Just those things that you post, awesome. Mambo, where can these fine folks find you?
Wait, guys, I stream live on Twitch TV 6 days a week. You can find me over on Twitch at Mambo_B on Twitch TV. You can reach out to me always on Twitter, and I'm pretty much an open book when it comes to that. So thank you so much for tuning into today's podcast.
Awesome. And I'm your host, Echo Limits, spelled EKOLIMITS. It was great hosting this podcast. I'm, of course, also a Twitch.tv live streamer. Big fan of Battlefield. So if you come by, you're most likely watching me play Battlefield. Maybe some other FPS games. That's what I kind of like. First-person shooters. Yeah, next episode in about a month's time. Catch us all on Twitter. You can find all those links on everything else. You can also go to our website. I think it's called the letstalkpodcast.com, and then you can find all information about each of us there, all our social links and everything else. Of course, if you're watching the recording, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment. If you're watching on iTunes, give us a rating. Some people have, and it warms my heart to see that people actually enjoy what we do. It's definitely a special feeling. And seeing some people actually put 5 stars, that wasn't me, because I went there and I put 5 stars, you know what I mean? Seeing someone else post 5 stars on the iTunes page is just like, wow, cool, you know? So leave us a rating. You can email us at theletstalkpodcast@gmail.com. We'll read your emails, if we get any, on our next episode in a month's time. Thank you so much for watching. We didn't
get an email this time, did we?
Nah, feels bad, man.
Yeah, we need you guys to send us an email with a question so we can read it in the next podcast. Thank you.
All right. All right, so with that, this is sign off. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.
Later.